All right, next in the mass movement section, we've got 2.3.3, human influences and the causes of sudden mass movement. So why do these mass movements happen? This guy's a little weird over here. Why do these mass movements happen, and what are the human influences on it? Now, there are some natural we're going to talk about, but first we'll talk about human influences. The two of main concern that we talk about here that cause mass movements are going to be deforestation and buildings. So deforestation is something we're going to be focusing on a lot in this class. It impacts every single sphere, and we're going to start with no lithosphere. But we will be talking about deforestation everywhere. Deforestation is really, it says it in the name, it's going to be the removal of vegetation from an area to convert it to something else. Now, it's not always converting it to land. You usually would think, all right, I'm going to deforest an area, I'm going to remove all the vegetation, I'm going to put up buildings. Yes, that happens. We're going to talk about that in a second. But most of the time, deforestation happens to convert a natural area into farmland or something else. And what that does is that takes away all these deep-rooted big plants that are natural to the area, and you're going to put something that may not be natural to the area and all of one species there, really does some bad things we'll talk about biodiversity-wise. But when we talk about deforestation in terms of mass movement, it can have repercussions as well. So deforestation, when this happens with mass movements, we have to understand the importance of vegetation to soil. If a forest is undisturbed, very little soil moves or is lost from the area. It's basically staying there. It gets held in by roots, and it gets held in by leaf litter. And leaf litter is the fallings that come down from trees. So if you remove the trees, there's no more leaf litter. The leaf litter, what it does is it covers the soil, protects it from rain coming down and washing it away. All right, it just sits there, and now it's not going to basically run away. So if the trees and vegetation are removed and replaced with something else, the leaf litter cannot accumulate, and so then all of a sudden wind and water can come take it away much easier than if the leaf litter was there. So soil without vegetation will not absorb water well either, so the rate of runoff will increase. The root structures of trees also stabilize the soil underneath the ground cover, like I said, so they hold the soil in place. So removal of that causes major mass movements. You can see this picture from Chile. I'm showing you before and after deforestation. You can see how it's like totally covered, and after you can see on the ground basically nothing protecting it. All right, now building structures on land and the clearing of that land can have the same effects as deforestation. Another problem is that land is moved to different places, so that land basically that you dig up will be moved and shifted to other places. And usually that soil is loose where it moves and then will be susceptible to erosion. So there are different causes of sudden mass movements. Sudden mass movements can be as the result of natural phenomena. And so those ones we talked about before are major human causes, but these are causes of sudden mass movement. You do something or something happens to cause a sudden mass movement. Massive, intense, or prolonged rainfall can cause mass movement, flooding, different types of things that can cause that to happen. Earthquakes, simple enough, the earth shakes and the soil becomes loose, flows down a slope. This can also cause liquefaction. Liquefaction is a neat term, but basically what happens is that shaking, there's pores in the soil. We're going to talk about it in the next unit, but those pores can basically snap and cause the soil to liquefy and fall down. Volcanic activity is pretty much the same as with earthquakes. The seismic activity can trigger movement of the land. Also, the vents and features associated with a volcano will be weak following the eruption, may collapse, and take land with them. Snowmelt will happen if there's a sudden increase in temperature in a mountainous region, heavy with snow. The snow will melt, causing a lot of water to accumulate, which can result in landslides. And rapid falling levels of groundwater or surface water. If the water level falls either below us or above, like a lake or a river or stream, basically the soil, the water that's holding in the soil can cause a depression, and that can cause a mass movement as well. This happens a lot here in Florida with sinkholes. Human cause, so what do humans do to cause sudden mass movements? You got excavation. As humans dig up the land, of course that can trigger mass movements. Mining, digging into the earth. Again, you're going down deep into the earth, and this can cause collapses. Vibration, with any kind of our construction, and we do a lot of things that vibrate the earth that can basically trigger little earthquakes. Drawdown, when water is drawn down from a water body, same effect of the groundwater and surface water we talked about before. Explosions, again, relating to the earthquake movement. If you have an explosion, that can trigger mass movement. And deforestation and land use change, which we've talked about before. And that's it for this section.